Though the government has disbursed $2.3 billion to improve sanitation, road surfaces, and control the mosquito population, we as the citizens of this great nation must take responsibility for our surroundings. That's the only way we as a people will be free of mosquito-borne illnesses and to maintain our health so that we can contribute fully to the building of Jamaica land we love. Your magazine program continues with a word of advice and then the news.
Householders, business people, school administrators, be on the alert. Help control the mosquito population. Destroy breeding sites. Empty old tires and all other containers where water can settle. Bore holes in old cans. Cover water drums and garbage cans. Wash flower pots and vases and clean pet dishes regularly. Protect yourself from mosquito bites. Cover your body as much as possible and use mosquito repellent containing DEET.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Monday, November 18. Prime Minister Andrew Holness is projecting that growth prospects in eastern Jamaica will be bolstered by the Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project. The Prime Minister broke ground on the $384 million project on Saturday. It involves the rehabilitation of 110 kilometers of roadway between Harborview in St. Andrew and Port Antonio in Portland. The 26-kilometer stretch of road between Cedar Valley and Morant Bay in St. Thomas will also be repaired. The east-west leg of Highway 2000 between Maypen, Clarendon and Williamsfield, Manchester will also be extended under the project. Mr. Holness says it will greatly improve connectivity across the island.
Getting people connected is a great part of what economic growth is all about. The flow of goods, capital, technology, and people will drive economic growth and create a broader space for development and prosperity for all.
The Southern Coastal Highway Improvement Project will be done in phases by China Harbour Engineering Company, CHEC. The first leg will focus on the eastern end of the island at a cost of $195 million. $189 million will be spent on the extension of the east-west leg of Highway 2000. 374 homes have now been constructed and officially handed over under Phase 1 of the Winchester Housing Development in Hanover. The National Housing Trust NHT is partnering with developer Selective Homes to complete 1,003 units on the 144-acre estate. They are being constructed in 3 phases over a 3-year period. Minister without portfolio in the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, Pernell Charles Jr., says the Winchester housing development, with units priced as low as $4.99 million, is among the most affordable on the market. He was speaking with JIS News following last Thursday's official handing over ceremony.
What Winchester has done in this development is really established and shown that you can execute your construction in such a way that you provide a certain type of quality at a cost that is affordable to those who want to purchase.
The minister, who has responsibility for housing, is encouraging Jamaicans to take advantage of the opportunities initiated by the government to make home acquisition easier. Government is providing an additional $200 million for the transportation of sugarcane from Monimusk in Clarendon to the Worthy Park Estate in St. Catherine and Appleton Estate in St. Elizabeth for the 2019-2020 crop season. Senior Director in the Agriculture Ministry's Strategic Planning Division, Delroy Coley, gave the assurance on behalf of Minister Audley Shaw recently. He was delivering the minister's speech at the 70th Annual General Meeting of the All-Island Cane Farmers Association, held at the Denby Showground in Maypen. The support is part of short-term interventions to assist the small farmers who operate in the Monimusk area. The New Forest Infant and Primary and High School in Manchester has received a new $8 million bus to transport students. The coaster bus was handed over to the school during an official ceremony on Thursday. Its purchase was financed under the Japanese government's Grant Assistance for Grassroots Human Security Project.
Our embassy has sincerely supported this project because we believe that all students must have access to the critical resources that will foster their academic growth and development.
Regional Director in the Education Ministry, Dr. Nadine Leachman, thanked the Japanese government for the vehicle, which she says will support the government's expanded rural school bus program.
It is well appreciated and will be cherished because people in rural areas continue to be at safety risk, especially our children. And the government of Japan funded school bus initiative is intended to provide safe and reliable transportation to and from school for our children.
The Early Childhood Commission will be staging its very first Parent Partners Forum tomorrow for persons who provide support to parents of children 0 to 8 years old, but with specific focus on children 0 to age 2. Program Manager for the Education System Transformation Program, ESTP, Dania Facey, made the announcement during a recent JIS think tank.
If you do any family support and intervention, particularly if the family is falling apart, any counseling, if you provide any mental health services to parents, if you provide any health and wellness opportunities for parents, we're having this specially invited forum to coordinate the services a little bit better.
She says the event will also be used by the ESTP and Early Childhood Commission to launch a free Early Childhood Parent Partners Directory and First 1000 app. The directory will contain information and contacts of parent partners and is expected to be ready for distribution in January 2020.
This will be similar to your phone book. If you're a parent who needs a service in any of the areas that I would have mentioned, you can pick up your directory and you can scan through the various services that are available from the different partners and make contact with them.
And finally, the Ministry of Education is assuring that it will cover the full funeral costs for Benjamin Bear, the Clancarthy primary student who died in an accident at his school on October 29. Minister with Oversight Carl Samuda had given that assurance shortly after the incident, and it was affirmed in a statement from the ministry yesterday. According to that statement, the Education Ministry has asked the family for invoices from the funeral home with which they have made plans so that the arrangements for payment can be made. As is standard procedure, a critical incident file is submitted and processed and then sent to the Attorney General's chambers for processing and determination for payment. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Our parents love us all through the day, no matter what we do or say. They cheer our hearts when we are sad. Thank you, God, for Mom and Dad. That's a poem many of us may know, and it says a lot. My biggest takeaway, parenting isn't a walk in the park. Parents, get some tips on how to foster a healthy, violence-free relationship with your wards.
Can be very frustrating, and a lot of times people don't feel like they really have an answer to everything, and the truth is that that is the reality. But there are different things that people can try. We're not saying that any one thing works for everybody or that you'll even get the outcome that you want immediately. Especially when you're dealing with young children, you might have to try something several times before you see a particular result. So for example, if it is that you want a child to learn the difference between right and wrong, a lot of times in the past we use pain to teach that this is wrong, right? But we find that ultimately when you hit a child, what you're teaching them to do is when I don't like something, I should hit and I should lash out. What you want to try in a situation like that, you can try removing privileges. If there are things that the child might love to do, or even the age-old timeout, you know, where you say, listen, for this period, you have to sit by yourself, there's no communication, there's no talking, sit down and be still. Sometimes you have to physically just hold your child and help them to breathe through it, because you have some children where they have so much emotion and so much anger and they want to get it out, that it's really difficult for them to regulate it at such a young age. And so you have to physically hold them, Put your hand on them, help them to breathe through it until they're calm. And with children, even if they don't understand necessarily the big concepts of right and wrong, they can sometimes understand tone, right? And tone is not the same thing as lashing out and using certain words and calling them different names. Tone is being firm and saying, I do not want you on this. So for example, if a child keeps going off on something, you might have to take them off it 10 times, right? And continue to reinforce with the same tone and consistency that you do not want them on this. And also for younger children, sometimes you have to be the one to remove whatever it is that you don't want them to interact with from the environment, right? Because they're so young and so impulsive, you can't necessarily leave it to them to understand I shouldn't touch this thing, right? So that's how we deal with the younger children.
How well do you know your child? What he or she likes or dislikes? Favorite food or color? How about who their friends are? Make the time. Get to know your child. It helps to build their relationship. Makes it easy to keep them safe, and it helps their development process.
We often hear about Farmer Brown, Farmer Joe, or Farmer John, but little is said about Farmer Sue, Mary, or Liz until now.
I got into farming because my hobby was gardening, as nuts about plants, flowers. So it was kind of a natural area to look for when I was looking for something to do. I started in an area that didn't have water, so I was not able to irrigate. And with climate change, it made things really, really unpredictable, very risky, and just difficult. So I don't consider myself as having really started farming until I moved into this agro park, where I was able to irrigate and do things in an optimal way.
Amity All is approximately 2,400 acres. We have 22 investors, 5 of which are female. The soil is predominantly Sydenham clay, and the crops that do well here, we have the cucurbits. That would include pumpkins, sweet potatoes, zucchini, squash. Also a few tubers do very well, sweet potatoes and cassava. Those crops do very well. We also have a lot of farmers who have gone into the Scotch bonnet pepper, and they're also doing very well. Once we manage the water application with the type of soil that we have and give proper nutrition, these crops do very well.
Life has been a learning experience primarily because of the Sydenham clay, but I don't know if that's particular to this park. I think anywhere that you go, you have to learn to work with what you have. So it's been a learning experience, and but one good thing about it is that you see the rewards at the end of the day because you're able to irrigate or fertigate, which is fertilizing through the irrigation system. So you're getting closer. I see myself inching closer and closer to the point where I'll get optimal yields, which is what every farmer wants. Everything that I produce goes to food processors. And the particular processor that I sell to, 90% of their output is exported. So I like to think that I'm a part of that whole chain that is earning foreign exchange for the country. I plant only hot peppers. I'm trying this year to try and stretch myself and learn other things. So I'm hoping on the boundaries I've created little areas where I'm going to do some experimentation. But for now, I'm only doing hot peppers and specifically Scotch bonnet. I've set myself the challenge of trying to master that because of the 2 types that we grow here in Jamaica. That definitely is the most demanding one. So still going up the learning curve. I think the reason why I settled on peppers is because you can sell it. You don't have to scratch your head and wonder where you're going to sell it. because most of the processors have back orders, export orders. And in fact, we've found ourselves in a situation in Jamaica where processors have to import pepper mash, so you will never ever have a problem selling your product. If you never went to farm school, if you don't really have experience, try to get into a situation where people are readily accessible to give you that encouragement, not just advice, technical advice, but also encouragement, because sometimes you may go through a little period where you feel, wow, is this really worth it? And that support is valuable. But that's one thing. In terms of practical advice, don't go anywhere without water. Just don't go anywhere without water. That's the mistake I made. And the second thing is try to farm reasonably close to where you live. Another mistake that I made, because how often you go to your farm, the hours you put in, it shows. The further away you live, you try and cut corners here and cut corners there, and it will show.
When you come to Amityville, there are a few things. There are things here that can help to foster your production. One, we have a team of stakeholders working together to cater to your needs. We have the RAD extension officers, we have the persons from NIC, we have the team from AIC. We also have a group of farmers that are willing to work together to help to move the produce not from the ground to the plate.
This Heart Month, we want to help you reduce your risk of heart-related diseases. Take control of your heart's health by staying active with exercise. Don't smoke and manage pre-existing conditions such as high blood pressure and high cholesterol. You may also want to eat foods low in fats, added sugar and salt. Hear how you can properly monitor your food intake next.
Your body needs energy, and we call this our daily requirements of calories. And for Jamaican men, it's about 2,100. For Jamaican women, it's about 1,900 calories per day. The calorie is just a unit of energy to say how much energy you need to get around your daily activities and so on. If you're more active and you're not in a desk job, then you're going to burn more calories. If you go to work, when you get up in the morning, you sit in a car and you go to work, you sit at a desk all day, and then lunchtime come, you order and they deliver the food to you, and then you eat that and you go back and sit again, and then you sit in a bus or a car and you go home. So you're sitting all day, you're not doing much, versus somebody who's on the road and they're walking around or they're standing all day like the teachers and nurses and so on. Then you'll realize the difference in how much energy you will need. And so if you are more active, you should be eating a little bit more. But the problem is that everybody is eating as if they're working in sugarcane fields, chopping cane all day. And this is the problem. So we consume more calories than we are burning off. And every day, if we keep on consuming calories, you need 3,500 calories to make 1 pound of fat. One soda, if you look on the serving size for these things, these juices and so on, you'll think that, oh, it's just 110 calories. But how many servings come in that container? About 3 or 2.5. So you can easily drink 300 calories like that. And if you do that 5 times for the day, that's 1,500 calories. You almost don't need to eat anything else for the rest of the day. So the excess calories come in the body, and then the body begins to store them as fat. And then you put on more weight and more weight. You have to watch the pastries and the breads and all of these things that people, even when they're vegetarian, they still have a lot of these little snacks and so on. These things are full of calories. You know that one of the cream crackers is about 450 calories. Water crackers is about 500. Yeah, nobody don't want to hear. I never want to believe it either. But This is what you get, the big packs that you get, and a lot of people eat them with butter, right? So can you imagine how many calories you're putting in your body with one little snack? And you don't talk about the tea yet, with the milk, the condensed milk and the sugar that you have to have that with. All of these things, they add up without you even knowing.
The ingredients label will go from the most to the least in a product. So if the product is making a claim, look at where that claim is. If it is 1, 2, or 3, because if it falls less than that, you're really not getting value for your money, right, in terms of content. The nutrition facts. One of the first things you're going to look at is the servings per container, and this says 2.5, which means it's 2.5 servings in the container. You are not supposed to drink it, you must share it, right? And then you're going to look at your calories. It says 90 calories, but it's 90 calories per serving, and it's 2.5 servings. So it's 2.5 times 90, which comes out to about 225. And then you come down and you look at your sugar, and it's 22 grams of sugar, but it's per serving. So the entire container is 2.5 times 22, which works out to about 55, 56 if my maths is right. And there's 4 grams equal 1 teaspoon, so you end up with about roughly 14 teaspoons of sugar. And that is, you use this template for all the products that have nutritional facts on them. This is 14 teaspoons of sugar, and the American Heart Association recommends that for an adult male, you're supposed to consume 9 teaspoons of added sugar per day. For an adult female, it is 6 teaspoons of added sugar per day. And for a child, it's less than 6 teaspoons per day. And a child here, we're talking about from 2 to 18 years old. Don't look at a container and judge it by the size alone. It's very important to read the label so you know exactly. And look at it. 220 calories. For parents, we're asking them, to be very mindful of how much sugar they're giving their kids, right? Because it impacts upon their health in the long term.
We try to provide information to parents and guardians, teachers, anyone about the alternatives to these sugary drinks, because really you don't need them in your diet. You can get enough sugar that you need from the foods that you eat, the carbohydrates, which are converted to sugars in your body, which give you energy. So some of the alternatives are, of course, water. It's the best one, but there's also fresh fruit juices. So blending your own juices without adding sugar, and you'll have the natural sugars and fiber from the fruits. There's coconut water. It should be, you should actually drink this in moderation because it does have quite a high sugar content, but it is a good alternative. For the children, freezing the juices into popsicles or ice cubes so that it's more interesting for them to drink, as well as doing infused water. So infused water is it's a process where you cut up your favorite fruit or vegetable or even mint leaves or aloe. You place it in water overnight so that the vitamins, the minerals, all the goodness from the fruits and vegetables are infused into the water, and you can have that. It's not sugar sweetened, and it gives you the vitamins and minerals that you need throughout the day. And then for children, there's unsweetened milk. So not flavored milks like the chocolate milks, but unsweetened milk doesn't have a high sugar content, and it also will give the children the calcium that they need for their growing bodies as well.
Excess salt in your diet increases blood pressure and contributes to kidney damage, gastric cancer, obesity, osteoporosis, and the worsening of asthma. Aim to have no more than 3 to 6 grams of salt, or half of 1 teaspoon per day. And children under 11 years of age should consume less than this. Get healthy, reduce the salt. A public service message from the Jamaica Information Service and the Ministry of Health.
Remember we talked about staying active to increase heart health? Get up off your couch and join this 5-minute power workout.
We're teaching them the maths, the English, the social studies. And then we have to just stop and say, all right, class, everybody stand up. We're going to 5 minute exercise, and that actually helps them. Helps also increase in terms of their academic performance. All right? So quickly, some exercise that we can do. So we're in the classroom, right? What you can do is, so everybody stand up, so you have either the Jamaica Move ambassador, or you have the teacher as the instructor. And similar to what I did here, probably can have a music, or probably can just clap to a rhythm, and just have one person leading, and everybody follows. Everybody got that? Alright, the same next one we have like, is like Pond the River, Pond the River, Pond the Bank. So we can have you say, when I say, alright, in the river, Pond the Bank, that's how better, yes. So when I say in the river, we jump in. When I say Pond the Bank, we jump back. And if it's that I say in the river, if I say in the river, we're in the river, and I say in the river again, and you jump on the bank, we have a student, not even out, don't want to feel as if they've lost anything. But we give them an activity to do. We say 10 jumping jacks. Or you can use your discretion. And next exercise we can do, we have a circle, and we can use just like those simple little tennis balls, and we have a little game called Stay Alert. You have the circle, so music will be playing or you're just clapping, good? And you just randomly pass the ball to students. So if I toss it, give me a name, jump. So if I toss the ball, jump. And Chum is not paying attention, he drops the ball. I will give Chum an activity. Understand? And that's how we do it. And you just make it seem fun, even incorporating in your activities. Even social studies, probably play a little music, a little history song. We have to make learning fun, we have to make this teaching, you understand? Yep. And I say that at the end of the day, we all want a healthier Jamaica.
We want to encourage a healthy environment in our schools. We want to assess our school environment, and it's being done through the Jamaica Moving School Initiative and the interim guidelines of sugar-sweetened beverages. We want to look at how we can start off with the low-hanging fruits, so the water days, the fruit days, the physical activity breaks. NCDs are trending up and must be curtailed. Thus, making our school environment healthy will impact our lives, which means that we will make Jamaica a place to live, work, raise families, and to do business.
And as we close out our magazine program, we give our own charge to you. Let's all work together to rid our communities of mosquito breeding sites. The breeding site is there in our dish drainers. It's there in our hoses, in our dog and cat bowls. It's there in the gutters and drains, and even on the tall grass in our yards. We have to take charge of our environment. You can get more tips on how to do so by visiting our website, joining us on all the major social media platforms, subscribing to our YouTube channel, and by downloading our mobile app. On behalf of the entire team here at the GIS, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.